Welcome to How to Collage Part 5. In this video, we're going to learn what a composition is and how we can apply that to collage making. After that, you and we're going to make a composition together. If you haven't watched my previous tutorial videos, click the link in the description. In my videos previous to this one, I have things like how to find cool collage making materials. I tell you all my secrets on where to find stuff, and I give some cutting tips and tricks that you might not know about. So check that out. Let's talk about composition. What is it? Really, composition is a fancy word for an artistic arrangement. In this case, we're arranging pieces of paper on more paper to make some cool artwork. So the ultimate task here is, how are we going to make this arrangement? And what I want to share with you guys today is how to tap into powerful art making. And how do we do that? Well, what we got to do is we have to look at and learn from the artists that came before us, okay? The masters of art, or maybe the artists that you love. So when we look at this artwork, instead of just looking at it and enjoying it, I want to read it with you a little bit. We're going to look at it and we're going to talk about what works. Now, for me, I'm a surrealist. So I think I want to show you guys some of my favorite surrealist artists, and we will talk about how they communicate their ideas visually to their viewers. All right, our first master surrealist, Salvador Dali. Everyone knows Salvador Dali. If you don't know, now you know. He's famous for the melting clocks, right? Now, this one is called Meditative Rose. Now, I'm showing this to you as a collage artist because this literally could be a very awesome, powerful two-piece collage, right? We have a background with two small people here. Looks like a desert, some blue sky, and then we have a rose here, right? Now, this is a masterful oil painting, but for a collage, this could be quite easy and just as powerful. Cut out a picture of a rose and paste it right in the middle of a landscape with a horizon, right? I believe this is called distortion, right? So that's something surrealists do a lot of, where they can make something big and make something really small, or they can dislocate it by putting an object that we're familiar with and placing it somewhere where it doesn't usually belong. This is, to me, the power of surrealism. Is surrealism plays with images that already exist. As a surrealist, I believe that all of us in our heads have like a storehouse of images that we all refer to and we all know. And as a surrealist, and especially as a collage artist, when we play around with these different images, we kind of play around with the ideas in people's heads. And that's what creates powerful surreal collage. A great example of using images that we're already familiar with is the artist Alex Grey. Now, Alex Grey creates completely new and beautiful transcendental works of art, but what makes them so powerful is that he uses stuff that you and I have already seen before. So his compositions mimic religious imagery that we have probably seen, in a picture Bible or a temple or a cathedral or something like that, right? So this piece, I can't remember the name of it, but I actually got to speak to Alex while he was painting this piece at the Moksha Family Arts Collective at Art Basel in Miami. Or maybe he was, he was painting this at Cosm in the old gallery in Chelsea. But yeah, so I got to see him paint this, and it's super awesome. But part of what's so striking about this is it kind of just assembles things that we're already used to, right? We've seen the Madonna and the Child, right? Or the Holy Family, right? That's what this is basically mimicking. And then on top of that, he's placed the images of our anatomy, pictures that we've seen before in textbooks and stuff like that. And so it's like he's like fusing what we're familiar with and putting it together and presenting it in a way that's like mind-blowing. It's like, oh my goodness, yeah, like tying the metaphysical and the physical together. It's really extraordinary work. If you haven't seen any of Alex Gray's stuff, I highly recommend you check it out. Hey now. Another favorite of mine is Alejandro Jodorowsky. Now he's a filmmaker. He's not a painter or a collage artist as far as I know. His films are super powerful. This is an image from the film Holy Mountain. If you haven't seen any of his work, buckle up. It's weirder than, you know, like Twin Peaks, stuff like that. But it's to me, it's a lot more colorful and vibrant. Now, I believe that Jodorowsky's work is very much influenced by the art on tarot cards. And I'm not super into tarot cards, but if the little bit I've read about it is tarot cards are a way of telling things about the past or the future, right? And they do it using visual pictures. So here's a zoom out of this image from the Holy Mountain. That's actually Jodorowsky right there. He plays the lead role in the film. And we can see that there's these two pillars. Okay. Now we could go to, where is it? This image of a tarot card, the High Priestess. Okay. So is Jodorowsky mimicking the tarot card? Yes. But maybe you haven't seen a tarot card. Or even better, maybe you have seen this tarot card, but you don't remember, and something strikes you, like that weird time that you went to the psychic and she said, yo, like, you got the High Priestess card. You might want to make sure your keys are not in your car because you could have left your groceries in there, and then all hell breaks loose. You're slightly reminded by that when you're watching Jodorowsky's film. So again, we could appropriate, we can use things from other images, and it's going to activate what's already in people's heads. So what's the point? The point is, look, see what works, see what you enjoy, and try to mimic that when you're learning how to make your artwork. All right, let's assume you're just getting into collage making. I want to share with you a simple technique, which is basically finding a foreground, a middle ground, and a background piece to create a collage. So here are two of my collages that I made. You can see I have a background, the furthest most image, foreground, the closest image, and the middle ground, which is, you guessed it, in the middle. Now, a little trick that I did here was I played with the foreground and middle ground by using this OLFA, craft knife to cut into the Black Eyed Susan layer, the foreground, to tuck in the hand. So the hand's in front of some of the layer, but it's behind most of the layer. Similar thing here. Found a funky background, right? Found this man, it was from a Winston cigarette ad. Don't smoke, children. And let's see. Yeah, this was one piece, this kind of like tear into space. So this is kind of both of these pieces are the middle ground. And then my foreground was, I found this green piece coming out of the back of the Starship Enterprise. Rest in peace, Spock. Leonard Nimoy. Never mind. And so I cut that out and I tucked that behind this little moon here, and I brought that all the way to the edge, okay? So the main thing that this is doing, especially for a beginning collage artist, is this is creating depth, okay? A big mistake most collage artists make when they're getting started is they kind of just create this like flat, almost like fallen leaf effect, where they have all like 500 different cuttings and it all just kind of looks flat. Here we only have 3 or 4 pieces, but we're creating a sense of depth, right? This kind of looks like there's like he's floating in space, so we're already going back. Then I already chose an image that has depth to it. That's going down and back. And then we're playing with the foreground here. So I think depth is a really good goal for all of us when we're first making our collages. Now, when we talk about this storehouse of images that we all have, well, you know, what's really going on here? I think, you know, this image kind of makes me think of things we've all seen before, like a zombie, you know, popping out of the ground, or like like somebody coming back from the dead, okay? And we associate skeleton with death, and we associate flowers with birth and death, life and death sometimes, right? We give flowers to somebody when they've died. Peace out, Spock, Leonard Nimoy, we love you. In this one, I don't know, I think it plays with the funny things we've all seen with cigarette ads and how silly they are. And when we think of space, we think of imagination, creativity, possibility already. So we're playing with that. And I don't know, the triangular thing and this thing coming out of it kind of reminds me of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, or like a prism, something that we're all familiar with. Real quick, let's make one together. I've gotten in the bad habit of not gluing my stuff as soon as I'm done and moving on to the next one. Don't do that, but this gives us an opportunity. So I have my background. Doesn't always just have to be some weird pattern background. My middle ground is going to be composed of these two pieces and this piece. And then my foreground is going to be flowers and this sleeping spirit. The biggest mistake people make when they're first collaging is they start gluing immediately. When you're making a composition, do not glue. Just use your pieces of paper as like a puzzle and see what works best, right? Do I want this to be in front, have her coming out from behind it? No, I don't. I've decided to do this instead. Okay. Now I'm going to use this for the foreground to kind of clean up that edge. And this guy is even more in the foreground because he's on top. Now this is important because now that I have my composition, before I glued, now I can come up with a gluing plan, right? I got to think about this first before I start making, you know, permanent arrangements here, right? So if you want to learn how to glue this, watch my next video, How to Collage Part 6. Thank you.